Shalom. Want to start off swords by giving all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kodash, the belongings of the apostle of great most, and it honors you brothers doing the work of the most in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's raw name of whom the world ignorantly calls God, Jehovah, Yahweh. His raw name is Yahweh, and the Son's true name is Yahweh Shai. And when we pray Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba meaning in, Ha meaning done, Sham meaning names, Yahweh, and the name of Yahweh Shai. So, quick one, was just on the internet and came across this one. It was originally what do you call it, posted by Gonzalo Lira. He brings out some decent information, but you can really tell, he's very much he's of certain disposition. Let me just put it that way, right? He's of a certain mindset, right? And yeah, just wanted to go on into this real quick because at first when I read it, I got a bit what do you call it? Good. It kind of rubbed me up the wrong way because this is the thing when these devils basically, which we ain't no damn Africans, but you know what they mean by this, right? They basically mean people of a darker skin complexion, right? And then us obviously knowing the curses and knowing that basically the Lord has used this man to keep us down low, and this man has several different several different means of keeping Jake in such a low position, right? And for instance, when you talk about how Jake is the ones that's in the majority in the prison system, yeah, definitely to do with curses. But then you look at things like how how Jake is basically more likely to be arrested, right? I remember there's a documentary 13th on Netflix, right, which goes into the crack episode. No, it was Crack, I believe. Salaki, it was called the documentary was called Crack, and then it goes into how basically you'd have Edomites. And Edomites going into Jake neighborhoods, right? Which these Jake neighborhoods were through, right? But you'd have Edomites going in there, obviously to buy the drugs, but they wouldn't get arrested, but Jake would get arrested, right? So there's all of these different things that are happening and are in play that are the reasoning for why Jake is in the position that they are in, right? But then you get devils once again like this that like to put this image that they're somehow superior when that is very much not the case. In fact, I didn't have it. Let me just read this real quick, right? This is Daniel 4:17. It says, "This matters by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men and giveth it to whomsoever he will." So the Lord has basically set up this devil, right, to have rulership at this particular point in time. Okay. But it says what it says, and setteth up over it the basest of men. And who is the basest of men? These Edomites, man, these so-called white people, despite the fact that they like to give this image that they are the best, right? They don't even look right. Okay, they don't even look right. Right, they've got what the scriptures refer to as leprosy. When you read, I believe, what was Leviticus the 15th chapter, right? This is Leviticus 13, Salakia, right? And 10, right? It says, "And the priest shall see him, and behold, if the rising be white in the skin, and it have turned the hair white, and there be quick raw flesh in the rising, it is an old leprosy in the skin of his flesh. And the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is unclean," right? So when you're patchy, for example, right? And if a leprosy uh, break out abroad in the skin, right? And the leprosy cover all the skin of him that hath the plague, from his head even to his foot, wheresoever the priest looketh. Then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that hath the plague. It is all turned white. He is clean, right? So to look like that, you're unclean, man, right? Whereas if you are look like this, let me just bring it to the screen, which basically this goes to show you just how just how backwards this kingdom is, right? Because this. I mean, you can see the. I mean, look at that, man, right? Look at the pride on that, right? That is a proud ass a demon, right? That's a proud ass demon, right? But this here is unclean, right? I mean, look at that, man. It looks nasty as hell, right? But being paraded as if that is some kind of beauty standard. Nah, you don't look right, right? But that's why the scriptures say what they say, right? Is Isaiah 29, 16. It says, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay, for shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall this thing frame say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? Right, so this man's come along, he's turned things upside down, right, as if to say the Most High didn't know what it was that he was doing. Right, I'm just gonna look for one last thing here. Right, this is Leviticus 13 and 29. If a man or woman have a plague upon the head or the beard, then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in sight deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair. Now let's keep that in remembrance, right? Um, yeah, it is a yellow thin hair. It says, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry skull, even a leprosy upon the beard or the hair, right? And then let's bring this to the screen now, right? It says a blonde. It says blonde male or blonde with E female, also referred to as fair hair, is a human hair color characterized by low levels of the dark pigment eumelanin. The resultant visible hue depends on various factors, but always has some yellowish color, right? So that's that yellow hair. That's what we're basically being, that we're seeing here. Okay. So but the here is this will be described. Oh, this is some kind of hunk or whatever, what have you, right? But according to the scriptures, right, as we have just read, right, that is leprosy, right? I'm just gonna grab one more. This is Numbers 12 and 10. It says, and the cloud departed right from off the tabernacle. Just talking about chariot. It says, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. Right, and Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. Okay, so let's get back to this. This is the statement that was made, right? Which let me see if I can do this. Right, go to the original thing, right? And once again, these devils, make a mockery, right? Wakanda Fire Department, right? And then because basically they're mocking the fact that they're using dirt to try and bring down this to stop this fire, right? And this person comes out and says using dirt to put out fires has been used since the beginning of humankind. You would know that if you had ever lived somewhere without hydrants on every block and the fire department to answer an emergency call, or is it just racism or both, right? And that's it, right? That's it. Right, but once again, he has that pride. But eventually, this guy responds to something that was replied there. It says, after 15 years in Africa, let me explain you how it works. Black people as a whole exist solely because there are 10,000 white guys who get paid immensely well to keep the lights on for the ruling African elites. The moment the whites leave, it's game over for Africa, right? And then he goes on to say, what you call it, other crap, right? But that sentiment of, oh yeah, we're so great, right, is not the case, right? For once, Jake has been put in this position, right, on purpose as part of the curses. Two, right, this is further proof that actually Job 9:24, right, says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the face of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Right, so the Lord has given this man the power over the earth, right? He may come and say this, that, and the other, but the Lord is the one that gave you power over this earth. And not only that, you have gone and you have basically embedded yourself everywhere, right, on the face of the planet Earth. Right? There's nowhere where we can escape you, right? There's nowhere where you get certain people that say, "Oh, go back to where you came from," or whatever. If you don't like it, go back to where you came from. All of that crap. But the point is, you can't escape this devil. He's everywhere, right? He is literally everywhere, right? And there's nothing that we can do about that, right? And this actually is, like I said, when the emotions kind of died down, right? Because hey, look, man, the Lord is gonna make it known just how low and how base this man is. But at the moment, we have to suffer you. This is Ecclesiastes 10 and 6. Let me start from 6 actually, because oh, this isn't what I want. Is it what I want? – I was trying to think. I misremembered verse 5, but verse 7 anyway says, "I've seen servants upon horses." In fact, not like it is 5. It says, "There is an evil." Ecclesiastes 10:5. "There is an evil which I've seen under the sun, as an error which proceedeth from the ruler." Right. "For they sit in great dignity, and the rich sit in low place. I've seen servants upon horses, and princes walking as servants upon the earth." Right. And this is wrong. The earth is in a state of just like bizarro world. Like, when you might watch a television show when someone's in an alternate reality, and then they're feeling like something's not right, and that's basically what this is, right? This is the simulation, if you will. All right, this is basically the situation that we find ourselves. That's a better way of phrasing it, right? um but that's just what we have to suffer, right? Because why? Micah 7 and 19, or 9, right? "I'll bear the indignation of Yahweh because I've sinned against him." Right? And just on this vein, Ecclesiastes 7 and 7, surely oppression maketh the wise man mad, and the gift destroyeth the heart. Right? So because we understand that this isn't the right way things should be for us, we're like, look, man, hey, Lord, when you gonna come and correct this, right? Because this is an offense to us. This is an annoyance to us. Okay, because we're waiting and we're hoping that the Lord comes and would you call it, and corrects this, right? So, like I said, goes on to say, but this once again, for me, this proves exactly what we say. You look about you know I won't mention that because I don't know too much on it, but you look at say the jackals, or I forgot the name, the financial jackals or something like that. I forget it's exactly the exact name of it, but then you've got the IMF, you've got all of these different world bodies that go in and basically take control and steal a nation's resources, right? This is Micah 2, and the point I want is in 2, but I'll start from the top, right? So, in one verse says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds." And in fact, we can kind of go into that, because part of that iniquity, right, is this image and this lie that they've perpetuated, right? Which, their iniquity goes deep. Scripture says, the Psalm 68 chapter, that their heart is deep, right? This iniquity, part of it, just a small fragment of it, right, goes into the fact that this man has created a whole ideology that Jake don't amount to anything, right? In fact, just on that statement, it says Wisdom, the 5th chapter, right, and I'll start from 3. It says, and I can't start from 1. Says, "Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made no account of his labors." And that's exactly it, right? You starting off with the apostles and down, that's what you're seeing all over the world. Men coming out and basically saying, "Look, man, you're the devil," right? And made no account of his labors. What goes exactly with this, right? Because when you look at in a lot of these inventions, especially like the people of the world that was really done to make these things happen, you're gonna find a Jake, whether it's a so-called dark-skinned Jake, or one of the Israelite foreigners, right? Because ultimately, these we're the greatest people on earth. Okay. This it goes on to say, I said, "I made no account of his labors," and just another one on that point. Any argument that works in in certain fields, right? I'll, because it may be the same in all fields, right? But like if you work in, say, the corporate world, right, you'll see it. You'll do work, and then when all the hard work is done, Esau comes along, right, and then wants to take all of the damn credit for it. All right, but here it is. It was some, dark hair, some dark skinned, deep voice Jake that was basically doing, doing the hard work in the background. Okay, but then once again, Esau comes and takes the credit, and then you'll never get the credit for it in the outside world. People internally may know, right? But the outside world will just hear, "Oh, Tim Cook did X, Y, Z," right? Or Steve Jobs X, Y, Z, when actually there was a team behind him, right? As when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for. And it's talking about the chariots, right? It says, and they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision and the proverb of reproach. And if that ain't us, who is it, right? Deuteronomy the 28th chapter speaks about how we would be a proverb and a byword, right, throughout all the earth. Right, it says, we fools accounted his life madness and his end to be without honor. And that's ultimately what you're seeing here. All right, the moments whites leave, it's game over for Africa. That's not the case. Look at Tulsa, Oklahoma, for example. Right, when Jake was far away from you, devils, Jake was doing good. Right, but that ain't it. Right, we weren't brought here to do good. We were brought here, and we're in this position to be in captivity, to suffer. Okay, so we don't need that anymore. We read that, right? So we finished with that as well. Right, so let me just finish this now, right? So woe to Mark 21. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Right? Once again, you look at all of these different policies and world governing bodies where this man will basically go into a country and basically take it over. Right, look what they've done to. I saw one which is basically saying how Germany has more U.S. military bases, I think, than anywhere else. They basically, the individuals called it an occupation. Right now, that's Germany, right? And then also, what did the U.S. do? The U.S. are currently accused of blowing up Nord Stream 2, which is which was an economic, not lifeline per se, because Germany survives, but like an economic lifeline to Germany, and the Americans just blew it up and is basically telling the Germans what it is they have to do. Right, made them send their Leopard tanks over to the Ukraine, whilst America didn't send their own. Right, so that's an occupation, and if they're gonna do that to an ally, how much more so nations that aren't an ally, right? How much more so nations that are leaning more towards the Russian way of doing things, the global South as they call it. Right, verse 2 says, and they cover fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Right, and that's it. They cover fields and take them by violence, right, in houses, and they take them away. They just going around just taking everything, man. Right, it don't matter, what it is you have. This man, comes and he just basically keeps nations in a low estate, right? And as I speak as a man, as I say the following thing, right? But I remember going back a few years ago to the country where I was born in Zimbabwe, right, and just looking at how much opportunity there was, right? But then he can't have those countries prosper, right? Because if he has those countries prosper, then what are you gonna have? It's gonna destroy his myth that he is somehow, this wise, intelligent being, right? But that's what the scriptures, for example, say. Satan shall be transformed into an angel of light. People look at this man like he's the best thing that's happened since sliced bread, right? But as we read earlier on, he's just the basest of man. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 65. And among these nations shall thou find no ease. Right, once again on this point, that this is actually proven that this devil just goes around everywhere, right? And takes and takes and takes and controls everything, right? It says, shall find no ease, because the east was still gonna be there, right? Now it's talking about Jay being scattered, but once again, this ain't our homeland, right? Africa ain't our homeland. You have Jake scattered, all among them. Yeah, we have hot spots like the west coast of Africa, right? Is a hot spot, right? But hey, we got a brother in that camp. He's from the east coast of Africa, right? I myself from the south coast of Africa, so cool, right? We carry on, right? It says, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord Yahweh shall give thee there a trembling of heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind, right? And wanted to look at their ease, right? And one of the things he says to rest or repose, right? But what do we know? It's Mark 2:10. Arise and depart, for this is not your rest, right? This place ain't our rest. No matter where we go, this ain't our rest, right? Because this man, this Edomite, has been given power over the earth, right? And I'll get one more after this, right? This is Psalm 75:7. But the Most High is the judge; He putteth down one and setteth up another, right? So the Lord is the one that's put this man in his position, but he's gonna be taken down. Let's just say it's a good place to finish with this. It's Second Ezra 6:9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Right. So you enjoy your pride, you enjoy this illusion that you have made and bewitched the world with, that you are this great being, when that is just not the case, right? You enjoy that for the time, right? Because the Lord is coming to correct the error that is in the earth, right? Because it is an error that you're in the power seat, right? The basest of men, right? And the Lord's chosen are in this lowly position. It's an error, but it's an error that the Lord wants, because once again, Mark 7, right? Now bear the indignation of the Lord, because I have sinned against him, right? But then what do the scriptures also say, right? That we should wait for the Lord till he plead our cause, right? Till he goes and judges all of these different heathen nations for touching the apple of his eye, right? So you enjoy your time for now, but the tables are going to be corrected. So Lord's will, that was edifying. Till next time we say Shalom.